are 10 years old now. We are 30 years old now. We are 30 years old now. I just want to say that we adopted the slogan of a rescue mission for the 2020 elections. Unfortunately, that mission was not quite accomplished. But developments since then has made it more imperative for us to continue with the agenda to rescue this country. And if there is anybody here who doubts whether Ghana needs to be rescued at all, I just want to leave you a quotation which I picked from the works of Professor Joseph Stiglitz, a professor at Columbia University. In his book, The Price of Inequality, How Today's Divided Society Endangers the Future. Then I'll leave you, compare the situation we are in today and draw your own conclusions. But I believe you agree with us in NDC that this nation actually needs to be rescued. Professor Stiglitz stated that when you see that in order to produce, you need to obtain permission from men who produce nothing. When you see that money is flowing to those who deal not in goods, but in favors. When you see that men get richer by graft and by pool than by work. And more importantly, your laws don't protect you against them, but the laws protect them against you. When you see corruption being rewarded and honesty becoming a self-sacrifice, you may know that your society is doomed. Ladies and gentlemen, I leave you to compare what is happening in Ghana now. And I have no doubt that you agree with Professor Stiglitz that indeed Ghana is doomed and we need a rescue mission. Thank you very much, and I wish you happy 30th anniversary.
When I got up in the morning and I saw the weather, the drizzling and the rains, I reminded myself that indeed today is NDC Day. Those of us who know the history of the NDC, every major occasion of the NDC is marked with rains. And I remember very well that the leader of our party, the founder of our party, His Excellency J.J. Rawlings, may his soul rest in peace, will stay in the race. And whilst he's in the race, who dare you to run away from the race? All of us will have to remain in the race and get ourselves drenched. So anytime you are going into being in 31st, 4th June, whatever it is, prepare that on that day it will rain. And when it rains, we'll remain in the race and celebrate in the race. So nature is always with us to show that this party is a party that comes from God. And that is why our umbrella is the Akatamanso. And the Akatamanso covers the whole. Everybody is under Akatamanso. Everybody is under the umbrella. the General Secretary of our party, the Chairman of our Council of Elders, the most respected Alhaji Muhammad Risu, and let me also put on record that Ambassador Victor Beho is the Vice Chairman of the Council of Elders. When he was being introduced, it was not mentioned. Our running mate in the last election, Professor Jenana Opoku Ajiman, Honorable Haruna Drisu, the leader of our gallant 137 members of parliament, members of the National Executive Committee present here, members of parliament, former appointees under PNDC, NDC, former members of parliament, former executives of the party at the national, regional, constituency, and even at the branch levels. The people here are many, so to save myself, let me say all protocol observed. I wish to join hands with the chairman of the occasion, Nana Atudazi, whom I pulled from the central region, and I'm the only person who can call him under 24 hours, and you say, Chairman, you are the only person who can pull Obatang from his traditional area and bring him. And he will always oblige. Nana, I'm so grateful for you for accepting to chair this function for us. I wish to join him and that of the Greater Accra Regional Chairman to welcome all of you to this special ceremony meant to celebrate 30 years of the formation of the National Democratic Congress as a political party in Ghana. The theme for this year's celebration is 30 years of unity, stability, and development. As a matter of history, the NDC is an offshoot of the government of the PNDC led by the late President J.J. Rawlings as its chairman. The history of the formulation of the party is long, but for the purpose of today's event, I will cut a long story short by saying that when the country decided in 1992 to return to constitutional rule through the referendum of April 1992, the PNDC as a government also decided to float a political party for the purpose of contesting any democratic elections that were to be conducted to usher into office any constitutional government under the new dispensation. The idea of forming the NDC was mooted, and many brains were brought together to work out a program to bring the idea into fruition. This culminated into the establishment of the NDC as a political party. In the forefront of the discussions were functionaries of the PNDC, the cadres, members of the 31st December Women's Movement, the June 4th Movement, and many other progressive forces. After the discussions, deliberations, and consensus buildings, eventually the NDC was formed and launched on the 10th of June 1992 at the Art Center as a party in preparation towards the general elections to be conducted later in November 1992. An interim National Executive Committee was put in place, chaired by the late Alhaji Yusuf Ali, to steer the affairs. Other officers were also appointed to support him. In due course, many other political parties also emerged, including the MPP, the PNC, PHP, NIP, NCP, EGEL, etc., etc. So the grounds was agog for political parties and political activities. The NDC quickly put its house in order and went to Congress on the 19th September 1992 to elect its national officers and the presidential candidate to contest the 1992 presidential elections. The NDC elected Flight Lieutenant J.J. Rawlings as its presidential candidate at its Congress in Cape Coast. Indeed, the NDC candidate Flight Lieutenant J.J. Rawlings won the presidential elections held on 3rd November 1992 with a resounding victory, leaving the other political parties with the exception of the NCP and the AGA parties in complete tatters. As a result of the humiliation other parties suffered, they boycotted the subsequent parliamentary elections, which were contested by the parties of the Progressive Alliance, made up of the NDC, the NCP, and the AGA. Fellow Akatamansonians. From then on, the NDC had come to stay as a strong political force and remained so to date. The MPP won the 2000 election, and all attempts were made to annihilate the NDC. But trust me, the party survived and remained resilient despite all the machinations, intimidations, and harassment it went through. After the defeat of the NDC in 2000 elections, the supporters and members of the party were so much demoralized and down-spirited that something needed to be done about the situation. As a result, a national reorganization committee was established. The committee was chaired by Dr. Ubeda Samoa, which then toured the whole country with a view to solicit ideas from the rank and file of the party members and also to bring hope to the people. The strategy worked like magic as the party. The strategy worked as magic as it rekindled the spirit of our grassroots members. Some new life was injected into the party. It is the spirit which culminated into the holding of the April 2002 Congress at Trade Fair in La, which new executives were elected to steer the affairs of the party. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I must state that between the period of 2001 and 2002, the NDC went through the worst part of its history. So determined was the MPP to decimate the NDC that the majority leader in parliament at that time, the late J.H. Mensah, in describing the future of the NDC, made a statement to the effect, and I quote, "By the time we finish with the prosecution of all these NDC people, there will be no party left." But the NDC remained unruffled and soldiered on. We put the pieces together after the 2002 Congress and started working hard. Yes, we demonstrated the indomitable spirit of the never say die until the bones are rotten, and the Kuma Pima Apembaba spirit to move the party together. Then in 2004 election, the NDC made a very strong showing, which shocked the MPP and Ghanaians. In fact, as a result of the performance of the NDC in the elections, a panic-stricken MPP, led by the late Jake Obichebi Lamte, rushed to the seat of government, the castle, and hurriedly organized a press conference and announced the results of the election and declared the MPP as the winners of the elections, even when the Electoral Commission had not announced the official results. This was a harbinger of coming events, as the MPP eventually was defeated in the 2008 election, and the NDC came back and formed the government led by His Excellency Professor John Evans Atamils. Ladies and gentlemen, this party has come very far and has been led by great men and women, and we need to pay tribute to our forebearers. Our first national chairman was the late Isifu Ali and the late A.A. Munufi as co-chairman. Alhaji Hudia as general secretary. They were in office for 10 years and they served the party very well before leaving office. Then we had Dr. Ubeda Samoa as chairman in 2002 with Dr. Josiah Aye as the general secretary, but later was replaced by the Honorable Bid A. Zidin as acting general secretary. They were in office for 3 years. Then in December 2005, we had Dr. Kamneje, a.k.a. Wayo, who succeeded Dr. Ubeda Samoa as chairman he came to office with our incumbent General Secretary, Johnson Asiedu Ketia, aka General Mosquito. Dr. Kabinaje was in office for 9 years before he left office, but General Secretary stayed. Then in 2014, Dr. Kofi Portofi took over from Dr. Kabinaje and committed and continued to work with General Mosquito until 2018, when he also left office and he stayed in office for 4 years. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, finally, the mantle of leadership fell on me to lead this great party in December 2018 till date, by the grace of the Almighty God. I thank the Almighty God for His grace in granting me the strength and good health, wisdom to lead the party till now. I must admit that it has been a long, tortuous journey for me, but with the grace of God, the Almighty God, and with the support of the entire rank and file of the party, it's been indeed a blessing to serve as a national organizer, national vice chairman, director of election, and finally as chairman of the party. And since becoming chairman, I've enjoyed the support of my national executive committee members, which I am internally grateful to. I've also enjoyed tremendous support and cooperation from our former president and presidential candidate in the last election, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and his running mate, Professor Nana J. Nokuku-Agyemang. Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, ASK Bagbe, and of course, the Honorable Haruna Drisu, the leader of the NDC side in Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, the NDC is a great party, and we must all be proud of it. It is therefore incumbent on all of us to commit ourselves to the defense of the party and its policies and programs. The NDC has contributed to the development of the country more than any other political party in the Fourth Republic. It is the NDC that introduced and implemented the National Electrification Program, which connected all regions and districts of this country with electrification, or to the national electricity grid. Indeed, the rural electrification, the SHARP projects were all undertaken by the NDC government. Ever since the Akosomo Dam was built and the Pond Dam was built, it is the NDC who changed the generation mix and brought the Abuazi thermal plant together in order to add thermal complementarity to our energy mix. And beyond that, all other expansion of the energy mix has been spearheaded by the NDC. To the extent that when the NPP came to power, they were complaining that we have generated more power than it is needed. I'm surprised that when you come and inherit something more, you even complain that you have inherited something more. But we NDC, we are proud of our achievement. It is the NDC that provided more health infrastructure than any other political party, including the building of regional hospitals. All the regional hospitals in the country can be attributed to the handiwork of the NDC. The Interbetin Hospital in Cape Coast, the Hope Regional Hospital, the Accra Ridge Hospital, the Sunyani Regional Hospital, the Koforobia Regional Hospital, the Tamale Teaching Hospital, the Wai Regional Hospital. Every regional hospital in this country is the handiwork of the NDC. Come and talk about education. All the polytechnics were put in place by the NDC, and we upgraded them into technical universities. There were only 3 public universities in this country. Any other public university was put in place by the NDC government. Talk about the University of Development Studies. Talk about the University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ho. Talk about the University of Energy and Renewable Studies in Sunyani. Talk about the University of Sustainable Development and Environment in Somania. And then every tertiary institution that has been put in place, NDC is credited with it. In the secondary education, we cannot talk about it. Every Monumental development at the secondary level, including the E-blocks, were put up by the NDC government. And we are proud of our achievement. You go to the water systems, the K3 water supply, the community water and sanitation, the small water supply systems, everything in terms of water supply in this country. Tell our opponents to engage us in debate, and we'll tell them that in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of supply of services to this country, NDC, we are head and post apart when it comes to any comparison. So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Akatamasonians, let us be proud of our achievement. We must be proud of our achievement in government and out of government. We have lived up to the motto of the party: unity, stability, and development. We have brought unity in this country. We have brought about stability to this country. To cap it all, we have certainly brought unprecedented development in this country. We have won 4 general elections. We have performed better during our term of office than our opponents. Who have used propaganda to throw dust in the eyes of the discerning Ghanaians. Therefore, we have every reason to celebrate the party 30 years. As I have already stated earlier, we have a good and better record than others. Going forward, we are focused on re-equipping, retooling, repositioning our party to prepare ourselves to win the next election and form the next government. God be our helper. We will surely, inshallah, win and form the next government. Once again, I salute all those who have contributed to bring the NDC to this far. The former appointees, the former DCEs, former MPs, former ministers, former executives at every level of the party, and the current 137 gallant MPs and our national executives. I salute all of you. Long live the NDC, long live Ghana. Akatamanso is the party of choice. NDC is the party today, the party tomorrow, and the party for the future. Thank you, and God bless us all.
Let us all remain united. When our national chairman of Osuampofo was addressing us, he highlighted 3 values: unity, stability, and development. To the Ghanaian people and to the new patriotic party, I say without any fear of contradiction that there is no political party as successful as the NDC under the 4th Republic. I say without fear of contradiction that there is no political party that has contributed to the economic, social, and democratic transformation of our country than the National Democratic Congress. I heard Professor Dansubuafu attempting to explain to us how the thinking of a national health insurance began, but lately implemented by the new patriotic party to which they take credit. We understand you all right. But at least what we should accept is that the National Democratic Congress have contributed immensely to Ghana becoming a beacon of hope and a champion of democracy in Africa and in West Africa by facilitating and participating in all the best political traditions that have happened from 2001 through 2005 to 2009 to 2024, that we are certain that the NDC will recapture political power. To my colleague members of parliament, the focus should be on how do we join hands with the national executives to increase our numbers beyond 137. At least lessons learned, we now know the value of just 1 seat. If we had 138, 139, we probably could suffocate them better and demand justice to many other decisions that they have forced through. But at least as our brand expert Dr. Siri said, the NDC can learn from a brand of a party which is an amalgam of diverse personalities with diverse views from different backgrounds of our country, contributing meaningfully to the social and economic development of our country. I cannot proceed further without also acknowledging how Alhaji Hudu Yahya then recruited a few of us quietly into the NDC by saying, come and assist me to draft this statement. Little did we know that we will end up also playing major roles as in the party today. I should say that having followed him and Dr. Chambers, it took Atua Hoy to then adopt me and my group. So to many of the young people who are even in parliament today, we owe it to the tremendous purpose and tenacity of Atua Hoy and the Hoy family in bringing and guiding us. And to the young ones, lessons to learn. Alhaji Muhammad Idris, as we are told, have laid his life in the service of our country. At least I've learned one unique thing from him that I may share with you. But at least I was telling our distinguished chairman that I enjoy what Captain Chikata used to call me to order anytime he was unhappy with the minority leadership. His first question to me would be, Haruna, how is the spirit the core of the caucus and the minority group? So to all of us, at all times, let's ask for the spirit, the core of our party. To what extent are we holding hands together to work together to win political party power to change the fortunes of our country? At least their generation, you see them every day. Now let me come to the economics of it. Those of you who even say, I heard Dr. Seydu from University of Ghana. That's the beauty of intellectual debate. This country, Ghana, owes it to Jerry Rawlings and the NDC of a liberalized economy that allowed for private participation in the economic management of this country and not to the New Patriotic Party. Historical fact. This country, even in terms of economic performance, and that will be my concluding message, leaders of the NDC, members of the NDC, let's be proud of the NDC legacy and nothing more. We have an unenviable legacy when it comes even to the performance of the economy. Today you are talking about inflation at 27%. Under President Mills' NDC, we achieve consistently over a long period of time, probably unparalleled, the single-digit inflation sustained over a period of time. Under President Mills and the NDC, we achieved the highest growth to the gross domestic product of this country at 14.1%, unparalleled in our country's history. Under President John Dramani Mahama, we achieved unparalleled infrastructure expansion in this country. And I just share a few with you as I end. That is why we say, be proud of our legacy. Whether today Nana Addo Dankwa is boasting about Kumasi Airport or Tamale Airport, the foundation stones were laid by the NDC and by John Dramani Mahama to liberalize and open up this economy for expansive trade. That happened. Don't use only Terminal 3. Don't use only Terminal 3 as your judgment. At least, I see Professor Nana smiling. Unlike them, we expanded access to tertiary education, but we didn't go about naming the universities after people. That is what they are very good at. We create the institutions, we expanded access to tertiary education. You can count of a tertiary institution in every other part of the country, whether in the Volta region, in the northern region, the UDS led by Jerry Rawlings, but we are not smart in naming it after persons who have served our party. So probably in future, we will learn from them. My quest for the NDC is that we should remain a party of opportunity. Opportunity for youth, opportunity for women, and provide a protective space for our women who may not be able to engage in the rigorous blackmail campaign. But probably working with the national executive, we need to draw a roadmap and a new strategy as to how to determine members of parliament democratically, whilst weighing and watering down the influence of money in the choice of our candidates for competitive elections within the NDC. The minority leadership and caucus will be happy to do a fair assessment of our candidates and their constituencies in order to guide future action, at least to General Asidun Katia and to Kofi Ato. And that is what warms my heart today. This is not the NDC where Isifo Ali just declared by popular acclamation Kofi Ato elected, Asidun Katia elected, without subjecting them to a democratic process. So we have come very far, and we need to deepen the values and ethos of democracy within the party, give opportunity to every other person within the party to realize their full potential within established rules and norms established by the party. And more importantly, as was observed, discipline within the party is important. Let me conclude by assuring you that those of you sometimes who are unhappy with the minority, we are not a perfectionist group, but at least we are a group that has produced for you a speaker. Even with 137, is no mean an achievement to have Alban Smart Babin, in whom we trust that he will deepen the values of transparency and accountability and make Parliament a more formidable institution. But at least even as we celebrate it, let me now come and pick a slide from Dr. Sedu when he talks about predictability of the judiciary and the dilemma of a political minority of 137. Those of you who are quick to blame the NDC minority for e-levy, e-levy was not introduced by John Mahama, neither was it introduced by NDC, nor introduced by the NDC minority in Parliament. Place the responsibility and blame squarely on the non-performing Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. We have done our utmost best. I've seen those of you question even our judgment in going to the Supreme Court, and probably, Chairman, I end on that note. Ghana is a country governed by law. We are very convinced assault on the rule of law. And as you observe, Dr. Sedu, this is not a country where freedom of expression is respected as it ought to be. This is not a country where media independence and freedoms is respected as it ought to be. This is the first time in our nation's history that the country stands so divided and polarized against a president who is insensitive, who would not listen, who prides himself in borrowing. And I just end on that note that we have a proud legacy. We must be ready to defend the legacy of the party at all levels across the districts and regions of our country in terms of infrastructure. As I observed, if John Dramani Mahama as president was going to borrow as irresponsible as they did, he probably could have tripled the kind of infrastructure they are building today, to which they say that we should give them credit. At the time of leaving office, we left a national debt of 120 billion. Today is 400 billion. And GDP, 81% of our national debt is used in servicing GDP. And they will tell you that they are better managers of the economy. Let me conclude once again by thanking all of you, thanking my colleagues in Parliament, and say, if for nothing at all, the NDC have produced for this country responsible leadership. From Jerry Rawlings through President Mills, through President John Dramani Mahama, and is prepared for the future to do more. I thank you for the opportunity.
It's been 30 years since this party was formed. We have heard so much from everybody, and I wish to congratulate each of the speakers. They've all given us a lot of food for thought. We have also heard the roll call. So many people who have donated their times, their talents, their resources to ensure that today some of us can also stand here and even say thank you. But in all of this, I want to acknowledge the unsung, unknown heroes and heroines. Many people who may not have come up to the limelight, but whose contributions we know are useful, they are helpful, and perhaps without them, we may not be here celebrating 30 years. But I want to acknowledge especially the families of the people, the families of those on the roll call, especially their children. Sometimes we forget that the biggest sacrifices are made by the children. When they cannot get their fathers as close and as often to them as they wish, or they may not be able to get their mothers as close and as often as they wish, that is also a huge sacrifice. So with all respect, I want us to applaud the children. Thank you very much. Now, my point is very, very simple. We have heard all the sacrifices, and my prayer and my hope is that those who have passed on, may they rest in peace. Those who are alive, may we all be reminded every day, every moment, that we have a charge to keep. May they never wake up one day and feel that you have betrayed them. May they rather feel that all the sacrifices they made, all the deprivations they went through, that it was worth it. And if they can say it was worth it, then it depends on what you and I are doing. They have left us a good record. The importance of integrity, of probity, and of accountability. May we all continue to stay together, eschew selfishness and greed, eschew putting the personal ahead of the group. May we uphold service, and may we also be guided by our anthem. And I want to pick a few items. We say, patriots should arise. The patriots are the ones who put the self behind the group. Development is our goal. Not regression, not mistrust. May we reap where we have sown. Not insecurity, not the refusal to account and take responsibility like adults. We also want a stable democracy, the kind that is progressive. Sometimes I shudder to think that should we rescue this country to 2016, then we'll be the only country that is making progress by going backwards. And we know what has happened. Development should also mean that we are fruitful, we are independent, that we have the freedom to choose, the freedom to express, the freedom to decide, the freedom and the possibility to trust in the state institutions. Why do we join the NDC? We join it because there's hope in the party for the youth. We join because it's a party that respects women. We join because it's a party that highlights the needs of the disadvantaged, including girls, including women, including those who are differently abled, where we can truly say, Obiara Kahu, Mofem or Fatahe. And we say that Ghana, our strength in unity. NDC, our strength in unity. Our strength in staying the course. Our strength in remaining who we truly are and who we truly can become. Our strength in closing the gap between the rich and the poor. Our strength in placing the vulnerable at the center of our considerations. Our strength in respecting all manner of persons as stipulated within the Constitution and as enshrined in our vision. So what is the way forward? The way forward is in our resilience. It's in remembering that so many people have come before us and that so many more people will come after us. And to remember that when everything is said and done, some laid their lives down for us. May the soul of our founder, J.J. Rawlings, rest in peace. May the soul of all those who have sacrificed so much and who have passed on, rest in peace. And may we learn from their examples. Thank you all very much. Happy anniversary.